Okay, we're continuing with this book here, The Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers. And the next person will be Doudna, Jennifer Doudna. She's one of the researchers that was the key researcher with the CRISPR-Cas9 for cloning animals. And I can assure you, somebody somewhere is cloning humans. I can also bet you a lot of these billionaires, they want to clone themselves. You have to remember, United States, for the most part, through the public school system, high schools and colleges and grad schools, they have accepted atheistic Darwinism. Now, the average person has been sort of like brain, you know what, cleaned, washed, and they don't understand that the big super rich people who run the world, they don't care about regular people. They consider them vermin, like, rats, okay, that pollute the world. They want to reduce the number of them, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is, you can bet for sure they're trying to clone themselves. You can bet they also want sex, you know what, slaves, slaves. Okay, of course they do. I mean, you got to use your brain. Think whenever men have untracked power. So what I'm trying to say is, I will bet you, they've already been some examples in other countries where there have been incidents of them trying to use this. They're going to be using this on humans, and it's a very dangerous thing to be doing. It's not as accurate as they pretend that it is. Again, I made a video all about it if you want to learn more about it. This is for gene editing, okay, and they've done it in animals. They've also cloned a bunch of animals, and you can bet they're going to want to clone humans, okay, especially if they think that if you start breeding humans like you breed animals, of course they're going to clone whatever animal or human has what they consider the desirable feature, okay. You want to breed somebody to be a basketball player, then you want tall people. You want to breed somebody for something else, then you want the features for that. So I think this is all a bad idea, but I'm letting you know it's already happening. And you can bet it's happening in secret that we don't even know about. Okay, that's the scoop on that. If you want to learn more about that, watch the video I made about Doudna and CRISPR-Cas9. All right, the next one is Arthur Conan Doyle. He's actually Irish, his parents were Irish, but then he was raised in Scotland, and then he lived in England. And he wrote, of course, the famous story Sherlock Holmes. Okay, he grew up poor, did all sorts of odd jobs. He admired Oliver Wendell Holmes, the great American, and so he named his character Sherlock Holmes. And he had some crazy friends, like we all do, that he said gave him ideas for Sherlock Holmes and for Moriarty. You know, Moriarty's the criminal guy. And these are some of the most popular books of all time. Okay, so some famous lines. I enjoy listening to the audiobook versions of these. I actually used to watch some of the old movies. Okay, my name is Sherlock Holmes. It is my business to know what other people do not know. There is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. Yeah, most of what people take for granted is true. I need my good foods. Coffee is good for you. It's all untrue. Okay. Okay, Arthur Conan Doyle. Skill is fine and genius is splendid, but the right contacts are more valuable than either. Yeah. If you got somebody who's going to promote you, that's the easiest thing. So remember that in life, because you'll make your life a lot easier if you know that. Okay, typical line, elementary, my dear Watson. All right, one of my favorite lines was from the story about the dog that didn't bark. It says, what about the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime? The dog did nothing in the nighttime. That was the curious incident, remarked Sherlock Holmes. The dog that didn't bark. Yeah, if you don't think the context is right, usually somebody's lying to you. Okay, Professor Moriarty is the Napoleon of crime. He is the organizer of half that is evil and nearly all that is undetected in this great city. Okay, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes. You know my method. It is founded upon the observation of trifles. Okay. One great story was The Hound of Baskervilles. Okay, Sherlock Holmes. To solve a crime, I estimate the man's intelligence, and then I put myself in his place and ask myself, what would he do? It is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. And in my experience, that's a big problem with young people. Because I talk to young people sometimes, and they always want to jump to a conclusion fast, and I'm like, dude, jumping to a conclusion don't make you smart. It makes you stupid. You got to listen and know the whole story before you jump to conclusion. Young people greatly overestimate what they know. And also I noticed, like, if you talk to a young man between the age of about, in my experience, 16 to about 24, 25, every other sentence has the F word in it. And if you talk to young ladies about that age, every other sentence is, it's like, it's like, it's like, it's like, it's like. They don't even realize how predictable their talking patterns are. Okay, next one. The more featureless and commonplace a crime is, the more difficult it is to solve. Mediocrity knows nothing higher than itself, but talent instantly recognizes genius. That sounds like a description of Salieri and Mozart in the great movie Amadeus. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So, all right, that's it for today. Hope that was helpful.